Hey guys, how you going? VaulSC here. Let's take a look at another game of infiNity, this time between the Dashat company and Ariadna, and that's vanilla Ariadna, not the sectorials. Hopefully you guys have recently watched my breakdown video going through all of the Dashat profiles, reviews, strategy, that sort of thing. Now we get to play another game with them. This one's going to be on the Armory, which traditionally is not one of my favorite missions. But I have recently picked up a very new objective room. I'll show you what it looks like. This is from Jackal Designs, and I managed to get this as a prize at the ITS event I was at the other weekend. I actually do a bit of shopping with Jackal Designs. I use their objective markers, although the panoplies in this room are not from them, it's my other ones. And some of the bases of my miniatures come from Jackal as well. So this is a pretty cool objective room. It's very, very easy to assemble. And the cool thing about it is that the acrylic walls are designed to just slot into the base, the MDF base of it. I've glued mine down, but you shouldn't really do that. You should just leave them there because you can lift them out because in the Armory mission, the walls are destructible. You can fire a missile launcher at the wall, blow it up, and do that. But the doors are retractable. You can take them out as well. So for this mission, we're going to be making use of this new toy that we've got here, and we're going to be playing the Armory, and I haven't actually played the revised version of it that came out in the new season, so let's just take a quick look. So obviously, dominate the Armory at the end of every game round. So if you're there at the end of every round, you get a point each, so 3 points, but 4 points for getting it at the end of the game, which is the really big swing. So you can let your opponent move in the first game round, hold that, they get a point. They do that the second round, they get a point. Then you retake it in the last turn of the game, so you get 1 point for that particular game round plus the other 4, so that's a swing of 5. So to be honest, if you have the Armory at the end of the game, you win the game regardless. There's nothing your opponent can really do. Let's just check that again. So opponent gets Armory game round 1 and 2, that's 2 points. They get panoplies, so that's another 2 for 4. They have a classified objective for 1. Yeah, so it would be a draw if you didn't even get a classified, if that's just what you do. But the point is the opponent can't win. They can at best draw. So this is really just about taking the objective room at the end of the game. Going second is usually the way to win this, but again, I want to put it out there that you've got to hold off for the entire game, and if the person going first has just crushed you so badly that they've shoved the whole army into the middle room and you can't really get there, then they will win. So you don't necessarily have to take second turn at all costs. It's just that if you think it's going to be a close game in terms of attrition and material, you probably should. We checked and found that there aren't any references to the room having a saturation zone in it. I think that's just for engineering deck. There is an exclusion zone across the board, as far as I can tell, although I could be reading an older version of the mission. And the doors start shut, so you have to open them. Let's now go to the lists. I know you guys love having a look at the armies. This time my opponent did send me an army code that I could paste in that is working, so we'll say thanks to him for that. This is a vanilla Ariadna, and we have two groups, a very large army. And bear in mind, it's not Caledonia. You can't have a inspiring leadership, William Wallace. So a lot of irregular orders here. Let's have a look. So 2 Irmandinos, he likes to run those quite a lot. I feel like if they're supported, or if they've got things to support, they can be quite good. But just in general, very useful unit. Liberto Mine Layer, kind of handy if there's an objective room that you can put mines in. The hard case Frontiersman, he's so cheap and so throwaway that he can often be worth taking, but I don't really like to see him when there's also so much other irregular stuff. You kind of need to find 1 or 2 things to fuel your regular orders into, and they may as well be irregular models, but one hard case guy isn't going to go sweeping around the enemy deployment zone and spend like 9 orders shooting things with his bow and his shotgun, right? Foxtrot, standard, Chasseur mine layers, absolute gold. It's harder when you've got an exclusion zone because you can't move them out as far, but that's still extremely good troopers. Your basic volunteers. So the assault pack, for me, I kind of prefer the dog soldiers, but the assault pack, my opponent was talking to me about this after the game, and there's a lot of potential for them. If they can all get into close combat with you, they really rip things apart. Sense is quite useful when it's on 3 different guys to move out there. Super jump, it makes it a bit more mobile. Veteran Kazakh, I don't see this guy very often. He's the token specialist here amongst the harder hitting troops. Just an AP rifle. And when I look at this list, I think, okay, 3.5 SWCs. I feel like this guy's a missed opportunity to have something bigger. I'd prefer dropping out one of the little irregular troopers here, like dropping out one Ermandino and giving this guy an HMG, because if you're going to be investing in a guy and giving him that job and putting orders into him, you may as well give him a bigger gun if you've got so many SWCs spare. Uxie McNeil, pretty standard. Spetsnaz, an auto-occlude in any Ariadna list that can take him, because you need something that can reliably shoot and clear ARO pieces from your deployment zone. A couple more Foxtrots, actually. Always love the Foxtrots, so cheap. And, of course, the Line Kazakh cheerleaders. But, again, the only thing that really I don't like about this setup is just the refusal to spend the rest of the SWCs. That's the only fault that I can take here. I personally, again, would like to see the Veteran Kazakh with APM HMG, or just one of the other equivalent pieces. You could even take 2 Kazakh HMGs if you wanted to. That would actually fit into this list, because the Veteran Kazakh's 38 points, the Spetsnaz is 38 points, and you have an extra 1.5 SWGs you can spare. So then you've got 2 Spetsnaz on either side of the table, or if one of them fails because it gets crit when it's shooting, you've got another one to back up. So that would improve this list. Let's have a look at my Dashat company setup. So McMurrah. Ironically, I'm borrowing my McMurrah player from the person that I'm actually playing, so the color scheme of my McMurrah will probably fit with my opponent's army a bit more than mine. Can't wait to try this guy. I've never run him before, but I know that he's been buffed and he's extremely powerful. The Zuyongs, so this time I am taking the missile launcher in with the team. Rushi in there, obviously, a couple of bounty hunters. I have opted to put Valeria Gromos in there, but bear in mind that she can stay outside of the link if she wants to. She's not benefiting from any deflector, and she's almost like the backup member, where if one of the main team dies, let's say the Rouge, she gets shot, she then subs into the team with the command token, because I had an extra point to upgrade the Ghulam hacker to her. 3 Fanhouse remotes, pretty standard. Come Rider. So I had a spare 10 points, I decided to grab him. He can be useful for going in there and throwing down smoke, and also clearing mines and laying down the chain rifle hits to clear the way a bit for McMurrah to get in there and do even more damage when his group, order group, actually sends him on a rampage. So that's not too bad an idea. That's fueled up by the Doze and the Tractor Mules. We've got the Ghulam Lieutenant Dr. Plus, pretty standard as per my video that you may have seen recently. I made the decision to run with the Zenshah as the infiltrating specialist instead of the Hunzakuts. And my choice of that, as I mentioned, normally I do prefer the Hunzakuts because they are more cost-effective specialists than the Zenshah. But I've specifically chosen the Zenshah for this particular mission because, as I said, the Zenshah is better at mid-game fighting. He's better at holding a point. He's better at those confrontations out there in the middle, because of his stats and his NWI, and because we're going for the objective room and raiding panoplies, he's going to be superior to the Hunzagut for this particular mission, I feel. Lastly, Liberto, I don't have any SWCs left for the mines. I really would have preferred them, because then he can set mines down in the room, but hey, we've got a Zenshah that can do that. But for just 9 points, this guy's very, very useful for setting up in the room, using his SMG in suppression fire, and just being an annoyance for 9 points. I think he's really useful, and he's so good at dodging as well. So let's get into it. Okay, so we've got this particular table set up here. And I'll grab ourselves a bit of a coloring crayon. Let's grab this color. So luckily the roads sort of denote where the deployment zones are. That's kind of handy, isn't it? My opponent has opted to go for table side. And he's going to sit up here. So I'll put a big A for Ariadna. And we'll put a DC for Dashat Company over here. Now, because he's given me the chance to take second turn, and because I've got a pretty flexible army and strong army, normally going second probably in a tournament context would be a good way to go. But I've decided to go first for several reasons. Number one, if I don't take first, I might have to deal with Uxie McNeil as infiltrating next to my deployment zone, or some sort of Cameronian attacking me, or some sort of dog soldier rushing me, or infiltrating grunts, that kind of thing. So I'm thinking about that. If I don't, I have a lot of very squishy cheerleaders. I've got these tractor mules and fanhouse bots and a link team that could be bombarded by early attacks, and it might set me back so much that I never recover, and then he just stuffs a whole bunch of foxtrots and mines in the middle room. So I thought go first for that reason. Second reason for going first is that I've got McMurray in a big group. I've got a bike in a big group with a bunch of guys that can really use the orders to take this fight to my opponent. And I've got such a powerful link team for the late game rollout that if I soften them up for the first couple of turns, I can then charge across there with the Zuyongs and the Bounty Hunters, leave a few things in the room, and basically almost put them into retreat if I've had a pretty good game. So I thought that's the way I would go. Okay, so my deployment has to be first, so we'll set that up. Alright, so HVT on the side, flashball spot here. The main link team's going to set up in this central building. So we've got a flash pulse at the back with a dozer next to the Rushi. Rushi needs the benefit of this big total cover. Then we've got a bounty hunter here, another one on the stairs, a rocket missile launcher there, HMG there, ready to provide arrows. Valeria Gromos hanging out nearby them so that she can be added to the link team. We also have the doctor here next to this bounty hunter at the back. She can crawl over to the missile launcher's position if he gets knocked unconscious. Made some bounty rolls for the bounty hunters. The guy on the stairs got +1 armor, so one of the dud results. The other guy got a motorbike. Now, I don't know how this works. It does say that booty is optional, although the question is it optional to choose to make the roll or not? Or is it optional to have the item on your profile after you've rolled? So I can imagine being in a tournament situation and being up against some really pedantic opponent, and my opponent saying, well, you rolled up the bike, he's on the building, he's not prone anymore, he's on the bike, I can shoot him now. And that'd be a nightmare. But legally, that's probably what should have happened. But after talking about it with my opponent, I was allowed to just say, okay, he's not actually on a bike. We're just going to disregard that because he's going to jettison that one. Got a couple of tractor mules at the back, another flashball spot, lieutenant way over in this other building here, and a couple of camera markers out front. Note that there's an exclusion zone right through here that I can't pass, so the infiltrators will have to hang out right in front of that. So a closer look again at the link team from the side. Gromos on the stairs with his bounty hunter here. Two Zuyongs. The HMG's prone for now. The missile launcher's standing up. Everybody else is prone, hanging out behind them. Another closer look where you can see the bounty hunter on the front staircase, SMG, and missile launcher looking strong, looking tidy. Further to the left of that, two camera markers here. You can see the one in the bottom right corner of this photo is the Zuyong right towards the room, and then the Liberto towards the left of that. Lieutenant just hanging out in the back here. Hopefully he doesn't get assassinated by Uxia. We'll see. And then there's a bike further afield onto the left-hand side. There was the picture of the control room. That's what my order group's going to be looking like, as you guys can tell from my report. So Group 1, Group 2. Opponent, let's have a look at what he's got. So I've got a couple of cheerleader guys like Kazakhs and volunteers at the back. This is the left-hand side of the zone for him. There's a Foxtrot and camo there. There's so this is Uxie McNeil here, I believe. And we had, I think, a Chasseur mine layer here. That's possibly its mine. I couldn't quite remember what the situation was. Maybe this is the Chasseur and this is the mine. I wasn't 100% sure. We've got an Ermandino there. Then there's the Antipode assault pack here, and the handler is the black undercoated model at the back. Ermandino there. This is a lieutenant, Line Kazakh at the back. And he's got a couple more camera markers around here. Mostly mines and mine layers, HVT right at the back. We'll take a closer look at his deployment zone, shall we? So that was what we just looked at on the left, Ermandino at the front, volunteers and Kazakhs at the back. This is the center part of his zone, so you can see these camera markers around here. That's mostly Libertos and mine layers and things like that. His lieutenant right here. And on the building, you've got a Spetsnaz plus ambush camo. Then you've got the veteran Kazakh over here, another cheerleader, again, mines and mine layers. So it comes over to my reserve trooper, which is McMurray. So this is back on my side of the table. My opponent responds by attempting to infiltrate the hard case onto my side of the table, sitting up right next to my bike and McMurray, knowing that I would have impetuous troops here. The bike is extremely impetuous, but they changed McMurray inexplicably to be just regular impetuous, making him better. Now, as soon as I saw this, I thought that he was infiltrating a mine layer, making it so that the mine would automatically go off as soon as I moved my bike, right? So first order of the game, I decided not to restrain the bike. If he's spent the points infiltrating something over to my side of the table, it's going to cost more than 10 points for this bike. I may as well clear it out. So the bike comes screaming past towards the enemy deployment zone, and no mines go off, which tells me, oh, hang on a sec, this must be something with ambush camo. And that is what cottoned me onto the fact that it would be a hard case. So I decided to move out with McMurray anyway, and maybe I shouldn't have, but I was feeling confident, and I think this is a mistake, because then we have a shot from the hard case at McMurray's original position, and that of course is going to spread a shotgun template through here onto my Liberto. So the Liberto is just going to take a hit here, which isn't really great. So we roll the dice. McMurray decides to go for a face-to-face grenade to clear out the hard case. He could have thrown a smoke grenade, but then that requires McMurray having to move back for him and attack him in close combat later. The grenade, at least, is going to be pretty direct, you know, in terms of stopping. It's going to have the same odds to block it, right? But there's an opportunity for me to actually kill the hard case. So it's going to be 19s either way, and it will be a face-to-face roll. So the Liberto misses a shot and gets a hit, and the hard case gets a shot and doesn't beat McMurray in the face-to-face roll, thank God. So the grenade goes in there and actually blows up the hard case, so 1 win to me there. The Liberto has to make a single armor save because the light shotgun misses once and hits once, and the Liberto passes the armor save. So starting the game with a round of very good luck. I love that. So here you go, the position of the hard case shooting down the line through the street. Result is that the hard case is unconscious now and the Liberto is revealed. McMurray's fine. We've still only spent impetuous orders at this point. So a great bit of luck to start the game off for me. Moving out with Group 2's orders. Zenchar going to knock on the door, pressing some buttons into the keypad. I love this little feature here. I've just, dabbed some silver paint to bring that out, but this little keypad lasered into the side of the MDF. So Zenchar opens the door, moves into the panoply, fails the roll to grab anything from the panoply, then I move the Liberto in there behind him with his irregular order, and then it's time to move out. So the bike, Rider, coming around the corner here, detonating a mine, and correct me if I'm wrong on the rules in this, guys, but I believe that at the moment the mine detonates, you are able to target it with a chain rifle. That may not be correct, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if that is correct, you're able to lay the chain rifle down on the mine itself, and that may also clip other models, in this case, the Liberto. So the chain rifle now going off onto the mine and to the Liberto. The Liberto does manage to dodge with Kinematica, and the bike is blown up by the mine. So there we go. What happens next, though, is that McMurray moves over here and has an attempt at it, and the Liberto responds by planting another mine. Note that the ambush camo Spetsnaz has not revealed, so that tells me what it is. But McMurray coming in here trying to get more damage done, but doesn't manage to get to the Liberto because he dodges. Realizing that was the case, and noting that what I actually did is that I had moved up here and pulled back down a bit, because McMurray starts here, and this thing effectively is the size of a base, it's obscured by this part of the truck, so I only will be in line of sight of it if I move over. So instead what I'm doing is just lobbing spec fire grenades over, and this is where McMurray just really shines. He's good at so many different things. So spec fire, a bomb comes around the corner, is able to touch a couple of models here, one of them which is, I think, a Antipodes dog, and the other one is another model that got revealed by a spec fire, because what happened initially is that McMurray tries to land a grenade that will touch the Liberto and a camo marker, which happens to be a Foxtrot. That reveals the Foxtrot, then I can actually use this Foxtrot as a target and just daisy chain the targeting ability of the spec fire down the line, and that has the effect of blowing up this Foxtrot here and revealing this Antipode. Then McMurray can continue moving around, continuing to either threaten the chain rifle or throw more grenades, but eventually he's going to be able to get to a point where he's able to lob a grenade onto this Ermedino and target this dog, and this dog's just trying for his life to engage. And note that we've got tons of orders to do this with, and that's the value of Dashat, right? So this dog fails to engage. Foxtrot is blown up by another grenade, so bomb's just going everywhere. He's just throwing them like lollies or something. Like candy. And Dog eventually gets an engage, but only after McMurray has thrown about 3 or 4 bombs. So McMurray goes for the swing in close combat, gets rid of the Antipody. There's only one Antipody left. Knowing that this model over here, being a camo marker further down the street, has not responded to me in any way, I figured it was a mine. But ironically, after avoiding so much damage for this turn, McMurray moves in, takes the mine detonation, fails the dodge check, fails the armor save, and takes a wound against the one mine, but at least that's cleared out. And then getting towards the end of the turn, moves in through here and just hangs out there prone behind this obstacle, noting that if he does move models past here or past here, McMurray's going to have a perfectly good chain rifle response to all of this. But still, he's taken out Normandino, a Foxtrot, a couple of Antipodes. We've detonated a bunch of mines, so his portion of the turn's actually gone quite well, and he's still alive to slow down the counterattack from the Ariadna turn. Seeing that my opponent doesn't have a lot, and noting now that I've figured out that the Spetsnaz is there, and the room is infinitely high and just covers this big obstacle, I've decided to stand up with the Link team here as well, because it's going to be so hard for him to move a Spetsnaz around to a point where he can engage one of them, and with them both standing up, it gives me more line of sight to cover with my aero game in his turn. Okay, and we have Zenchar laying a mine in the middle of the objective room, Liberto closing in, that's position of McMurray as you can see, and then it is Ariadna turn 2, Ariadna turn 1, sorry. Okay, so Zenchar going back into camo state, but now we've got the Liberto moving towards the room. The Liberto does have a brief interaction with McMurray, but McMurray throws down a smoke grenade, Liberto tries to shotgun him from long range, nothing happens. Then we move around, McMurray throws a grenade long range, wins the face-to-face roll, and actually damages the Liberto, who then goes dogged. Oh god, game going terribly for Ariadna, just a very lucky Dashat turn 1, or game round 1. So, the Liberto now able to move through. Now, he's pulling the exact same thing that I did. Because the mine detonates as the Liberto comes around the corner, he's able to target the mine with his chain rifle template. So we're even now, and this will also target the Zenchar and pop him out. So the mine goes off, and the Zenchar is basically just going to try and dodge the light shotgun hits, and does so successfully. The Liberto coming in for more, moving through into the middle of the room, will take arrows now from the HMG and the missile launcher, but the Zenchar up against it with this light shotgun and does get hit by the Liberto. So it's a trade. Liberto goes down, Zenchar goes down, so note that at the end of this particular game round, there's no way that I can get that bonus point because my guy's been cleared out of the room now. But my opponent also has to put something new in the room because the Liberto's gone. Over here, so my opponent here is trying to use the Antipodes handler to fire a smoke grenade to this point, because McMurray's already put a smoke grenade down. She's also trying to plug this gap as well because there are some arrows from the Zuyongs and that team there. So just creating a bit of a smoke highway. Then he's moving in with his little dog boy here and closing in the gap into close combat. This dog's going to die as soon as it's impetuous phase from McMurray. Then Uxie McNeil revealing, putting her own smoke down and moving around. So she's able to crawl past the smoke now. So it's quite a lot of effort, but she's set up a situation where she can move past the arrows of the Zuyong Link team. So that allows her to move towards the room. And sorry guys, I got the earlier part of the report wrong. The Zenchar did actually survive against the Liberto, crazily enough. But now Uxie McNeil moves in to finish his job. So I did remember that the Zenchar died by the end of the turn. I'd just forgotten who'd managed to do it, and indeed it was Uxie who managed to complete that, as far as I can recall. We also have the veteran Kazakh moving through, trying to get some damage done, and there you go. Have I got it wrong again? Have I just misreported this whole Zenchar activity? I've done the spoilers incorrectly. So the Zenchar has successfully fended off an attack from the Liberto, and then Uxie comes after him, and oh, that's right. So the Zenchar actually wins the face-to-face shootout against Uxie with a DEP and blows her up. So as if the first turn hadn't gone badly enough, the Zenchar now manages to destroy Uxie, running out of ammunition as he does so. And I think, am I going to get this wrong for the third time? I'm pretty sure the veteran Kazakh or somebody managed to shoot him. He does go down by the end of the turn. But anyway, so we've got McMurray there. I think that actually that was the extent of the Ariadna turn. So this guy has to come out, find a line of sight to him, shoot him, and he's removed from the room. And then we've got McMurray going into the Petrus phase the following turn and killing this Antipode. Right. Okay, so then back to my turn, Dashat turn 2. Liberto now with a fresh pool of orders moving through to this panoply and picking up smoke grenades. So now we have the bonus for more panoply collections. So that's quite handy. If at the end of the game I've swarmed the room, but the best my opponent could do is trade with something and kill the last model but not put anything in there himself, I'll have a bonus for having collected more stuff from the panoplies at least. So that might be one way to win in a corner case situation. Alright, so McMurray is back on a tear again. He starts the turn around here, moves through under this bridge, and then super jumps on top of this, and nobody decides to react. He has taken a wound, mind you. So coming right into close contact, very short contact with this Foxtrot, he decides to go for an intuitive attack with his chain rifle, which causes the Foxtrot to respond. But unfortunately, Foxtrot loses this and gets hit by the chain rifle and eventually dies. Not before planting a mine, though. So the McMurray now has to move out and dodge the mine, which he does so successfully. I believe takes a shot from his lieutenant at long range with a rifle, which misses. But now we can start lobbing his bombs again. Like these Ariadna getting sick of these bombs now because they're coming across and blowing up cheerleader after cheerleader and just leaving a trail of devastation, fire, and smoke at the back of the Ariadna lines. And he does nail these two. So they're both unconscious now. McMurray just too good at doing this, and the dice too strong at the moment. We then have the Rushi just poking out the side with some spare orders from Group 1, discovering the Spetsnaz ambush camo. There's always like a voice in the back of my mind that's saying my opponents are getting better and better and eventually going to bluff me and I'm going to move out, and it actually was something that could arrowed me and they just didn't reveal it until the last moment. That'd be a clever way to play, by the way, but in this case still just a Spetsnaz ambush camo decoy. Then we have the team just shuffling around a bit. They're preparing to move out in the final turn, but not just quite yet, so just positioning better to be able to do that later. We then have the Dozer from Group 2 moving out and charging towards the room. He's going to charge into the room here, grab something from the panoplies, and set up shop, just making it going to be a more and more comfortable turn 3, really, if I've already set a lot of stuff up. So when turn 3 comes around, I'll have tons of orders to really seal the deal, I'm hoping. So Liberto's just moving around as well, just trying to avoid a situation where my opponent can easily see the models that are in the room from his deployment zone through these door angles. Okay, Ariadna turn 3. So Ermendino moving around with Impetuous doesn't quite get line of sight on McMurray though. He has a handler, which is going to stand up and I believe try and chuck some smoke somewhere or even fire his rifle at McMurray long range. That fails, so the Spetsnaz job falls to him to shoot at McMurray, and that does kill McMurray. You can always count on the Spetsnaz to do that job. Then he climbs down the side of the building next to this Kazakh lieutenant, so Spetsnaz ready to go on a rampage. And then he moves through, and because, Ariadna is behind at this point, going through to take the face-to-face roll against the Rushi. Now, initially he makes the mistake of trying to move around here and retain cover, but I did put assisted fire level 2 on that Rushi, so he doesn't need to retain cover. And because he moves through and it's like 33 inches, he's at -3 at long range, and the Rushi is also at a deficit, but it would have been better for him if he'd moved through. So luckily for the Spetsnaz, doesn't die, Rushi misses the shots, so in the second order he's able to move into that correct range band and does blow up the Rushi with his HMG, which puts him into a better spot. So him charging through here, machine gun, Rushi, gets the job done. Okay, then we have, looks like him going back into marker state here. He's not prone next to the mine there, which is still up. Ermendino moving through, throwing some smoke grenades down, and then just coming a bit closer to this box. And then we're finally into the last game round. So Dashat, I noticed that with the orders in Group 2, because I'd moved a couple of things out of Group 1 into moved a couple of regular orders out from Group 2 to Group 1 because I'm planning on doing a big push with the Dashat Link team. I decided to use the irregular from the Liberto to move around behind this car and just blast that Ermendino long range with the Spitfire before returning into the room. Then it's go time, alright? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spending as many orders as we can on the big Link team with Valeria Gromos added. So this is Valeria here, obviously. And this guy Sotsu is representing a bounty hunter with +1 armor, and this is a guy who's wishing he did have his motorbike now, plus the 2 Zuyongs. So I've got that plus tactical awareness on the HMG. And the plan is to move all the way to the other side of the deployment zone for Ariadna, shoot as many chillers as I can, and then use the last few orders just to retreat to the room, trying to put him in a spot where he's either in retreat or he's just got so few guys and so few orders that he's not going to be able to kill, 150 points worth of models that I've got set up there. So here they come, all just marching across the battlefield very quickly. And our first target is this chap here. So he's got his handler there, and I've got to go with an SMG, and this is probably my best short-range gun. And I'm just trying to leave the smoke cloud here, which has been created by, I think, an enemy model. Or even the Libertos with his own smoke grenades. Can't quite remember what happened. But the plan is to shoot the HMG from the link at the handler. Now, I made a blunder here. This is a really costly mistake, or potentially costly. So the guy moves just out of the template, because he's trying to avoid arrows from other Ariadna pieces at the same time, and realizes that he's at long range. So Blitzskull 15 from the link, 0s to hit the handler there, -3 for cover, puts him back on 12s on 4 dice, whereas the handler's +3 from the rifle being just over 8 inches. Now if I lose this face-to-face roll, to my horror I realized I'd run out of command tokens, and I wouldn't have been able to reform the link. So I would have had 4 models just sitting there, which I would have had to move individually back to the room, tail between legs. Luckily for me, though, even though I did lose the face-to-face roll, the bounty hunter did tank the armor save, and it wasn't due to his +1 armor. I rolled quite high, but that's quite comical. We can try and imagine that his +1 armor that he picked up from his booty did save him. Anyway, the second face-to-face roll, I move within range and shoot the handler, and we can move on. But yeah, a potentially costly mistake. So there you go, blast the handler, we move on. Okay, so at this point, I'm able to get through and try and move around to this model here, which is the Lieutenant. And to do that, we're going to move the Zuyong HMG up onto the steps, and this is a much more appropriate face-to-face roll. And of course, 5 dice, be a 16 dude, absolutely wrecks this Kazakh here, just spraying the walls with his blood, and that's lost Lieutenant. Realizing that I'd spent a lot of orders going over there and kind of messed a few things up, I decided to start retreating towards the room, because I figured it would be better to have the whole group clustered in the room, just in case he moves some camo mark around there and manages to take it somehow, as opposed to me hanging out in the deployment zone. So they're all moving back here, setting up shop, blocking the doors with their bodies, the tougher guys getting arrows out, the squishier guys hanging out in the room with the link leader marker and just trying to protect. Flashbulb spots moving in to deny entry points, flashing enemy intruders that may be heading towards our precious objective room. Lieutenant order standing up, providing an additional arrow in the last turn, since you don't really care about lost lieutenants since you've got no more turns left. And there we are, suppression fire from the Dozer and the Liberto SMG. And it's finally Ariadna's last turn, but he's in lost lieutenant, can't do very much. Umedino moves forward, gets hammered by guns. Veteran Kazakh moves over, not veteran Kazakh, regular Kazakh moves around here, again gets hammered by guns. We have the veteran Kazakh moving forward with a command token turning him into the regular or whatever. No, he's a veteran. Doesn't he have the veteran rule? Can't remember. But he's moving in trying to get some damage done, but he can't penetrate the room. Too many arrows. Spetsnaz has a go at it, but again, he's up against an HMG and a link, and just doesn't have the orders to move in there. So try as he might, firing his bullets through, just doesn't manage to do it. We've even got an appearance from the Chasseur trying to have a shot at it. But, at this point, too few orders, too many bodies in the room, and the arrows just too strong. So it is a victory for Dashat Company on the Armory with first turn. Really enjoyable mission this time around. A really enjoyable army list. I think McMurrah overperformed, but you can expect such good results from McMurrah in the long run when you're backed up by so many regular orders, and when you don't even need him to succeed that much. Like, you've still got so many other things in the army, the Rushi, the Zuyongs, the Bike, the Zenshar, things that can follow him up. But his ability to just go through and squash a few things is just unparalleled. The thing I love about him is that if your opponent's got anything to ARO him with from across the board, you hit that with your Zuyong HMG or Rushi assisted fire in the link team first. If they're hiding everything, you walk McMurrah over casually with his impetuous, his irregular, his backup orders, and his 6'4" speed, and you start spec firing them. If you can determine who their lieutenant is, you could spend the whole turn just shooting at that. For example, if they've got a very obvious lieutenant who isn't backed up by chain of command, is squishy enough, you could move even McMurrow to a point where you're spec firing at long range, and you could be spec firing at -9, and still probably get some hits in the longer run of it. So he's very, very dangerous. And of course, you can move him into trade with squishy things, or retreat him back if you feel like you want to use him turn 2. Just so powerful. I don't really think I could run any serious Dashat lists that didn't include him, I think. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. Hope you guys enjoyed the Dashat Company strategy review. If you haven't watched it, check it out. We'll have some more content coming up hopefully this weekend, so keep an eye out for it. But as usual, thanks for watching.